All right, let's do another drunken Q&A. And tonight, I'm having a little bit of Jameson whiskey. I haven't even taken a sip yet, but it's about a finger of it. It's about a finger of it. That's all I'm going to do tonight. That's it. And back by popular demand, the good old brown ale, Newcastle. So I've gotten, well, first I just did an AMA for a political Discord. I think the Discord is called Politics. I'll link. They usually put up YouTube video formats of the AMAs they do, and if and when they do that with my chat, because my AMA went on for close to 4 hours, and then after that I stood in the chat room till like 5 in the morning. So it was I had a good time. I got to yell out some degenerates, and it was fun. I had a blast. I got to ham it up a little bit at the end of it, but it's so I had a good time on there, and there was a lot of good questions, and there was a diverse crowd of people with beliefs, and it's in different positions. So I always appreciate that, trying to put the fascistic thought, the third position philosophy out there amongst this diverse crowd, and see the reaction I get from it, and at least try to present it in a way many of these people wouldn't have heard it. So yeah, it was good. And if it comes out in YouTube format, I'll definitely link it in one of the next videos. But, funny enough, today, two different people sent me articles on essentially like what's going on with the alt right, as the world turns, what drama is going on with the alt right. And so I thought it'd be interesting to read this one of these articles that goes in like one of the articles someone sent me specifically dealt with I guess Cantwell working with the cops to try to lock up Antifa members, getting kicked off Daily Stormer apparently or some shit. And then another one, kind of this article from the Daily Beast here. Let me get this recording going here. Okay. All right, so this article here from the Daily Beast. I'm not familiar with this news outlet at all, but just from breezing through a lot of the articles, it looks like it's very left leaning and pretty shitty all around. A lot of opinionated stuff, but whatever. Let's see what they say here. So, less than a year after Charlottesville, the alt right is self-destructing. And this is by Kelly Wheel, Weill. I wouldn't even know how to pronounce that. Well, whatever. So looking at her articles too, like when we click on her, she's definitely a one trick pony as far as what she's on. Playing the race angle, anti-Trump, like obsessed with the alt right and white nationalism. Apparently, it's so, and a lot of these social justice causes. So this looks like just a platform for them to spew their hate. But let's go on here. Okay. Some have turned federal informant. Others are facing prison time. More are named in looming lawsuits. All of them are fighting. Last summer, the American alt-right was presenting itself as a threatening, unified front. No, they weren't, but okay. They build up these boogeymen. A couple thousand people, whatever it was in Charlottesville, is not a in a country of 300 million, that is not anything threatening. But this is what they do. They build it up so they can justify everything else they pass and do to suppress it. One of my complaints is when you whore to the media, you become useful idiots. You become the boogeymen they need you to be. And if you're not going to be that, they would create that for you. All right. Anyways, gaining national attention with the deadly rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. A collection of far-right and white nationalist groups proclaimed victory after Donald Trump hesitated to directly condemn them and instead blamed both sides and the alt-left for the violence. But less than a year after Charlottesville, the alt-right is splintering in dramatic fashion as its leaders turn on each other or quit altogether. Yeah, I've said this numerous times before that I thought they reached their peak in the Trump campaign, during the campaign. And that was, like I said, when I thought when they made it clear it wasn't just implicitly white, it was exclusively white, that they fell flat on their face after that. It's the same old shit that goes on in white nationalism, which is going on as we're seeing right now with the alt-right. Matthew Heimbach's arrest in a March trailer park brawl with members of his neo-Nazi group, some of them allegedly screwing, felt like too obvious of a metaphor. Oh, you're so witty. Heimbach was the head of the Traditional Workers' Party, a youth-focused white supremacist group that floated to the front of the media coverage and hate rallies in the run-up to Trump's election. But by March, Heimbach and the TWP had spent the previous months embroiled in a series of online spats with other alt-right factions. On March 14th, police in his Indiana hometown arrested Heimbach after he allegedly assaulted TWP spokesperson Matthew Parrott during a fight over their wives, both of whom Heimbach was allegedly sleeping with. Heimbach's wife is Parrott's stepdaughter. Yeah, you couldn't. So you can take your most Gentile-hating Jewish Hollywood producer or screenwriter, and if they would have wrote this whole Matthew Heimbach, Matt Parrott thing out, like in a way, just like shit on Nazis, like, come on, it's too ridiculous. You hate them too much. Let's be a little more realistic. You couldn't write a better script than that whole thing, how that went down with them, as far as the irony, right? On the cuck box breaking, and still one. Just, yeah, it's I don't know. There's not enough face palms in the world for this. There's not enough. But let's go on. And, it's, I don't know, if we kind of had quality of character, I don't think a lot of this would be happening. But, right, it's not about character. It's about how many hits you can get. The high-profile bust was an accelerant in what had been a slow-burning feud amongst the alt-right. Heidi Beirich? What the hell? Beirich? Beirich? We'll just call you Heidi Beirich. Director of the Southern Poverty Law Center's Intelligence Project, said the schism started after Unite the Right, a white supremacist rally in Charlottesville, Virginia, last August. The rally turned deadly after a man affiliated with a white supremacist group plowed a car into a crowd of counter-protesters, killing one and injuring more. I think the splintering started there, but I have to say what happened in the last couple weeks has been at a very much higher level, Biatch told the Daily Beast on Wednesday. Threats from the far right are by no means over. The SPLC, of course they're not, right? How's the SPLC going to make their money? What's the media going to go on about? Of course. The SPLC recently released a map documenting 954 hate groups in the U.S., the rise in 20% since 2014. In a January report, the Anti-Defamation League found that white supremacists had killed 18 people in 2017. I wonder what the story is on all those. Was Roof in 2017? So would they count? I forget what year it was in. And how much of that is other white people? How much of that is people they just call racist because, I don't know, for whatever reason. Yeah, I wonder, does it go to that article? I want to see if they lay out. How dare I even assume the ADL is going to lay out a honest breakdown of something. But let's see. Okay, racism sanctioned by the highest office. Oh, good Lord. Oh, no, who is this? This is fucking Al Jazeera. This ain't ADL. Why did I click an ADL link and it went to Al Jazeera? Let's see. Come on, show me the fucking stats on who we're talking about did all these killings. And LOL. Even if it was 18 politically motivated or racially motivated through politics and through being white nationalist murders, that's a little more than one. I mean, there's a lot more people getting killed each weekend, all throughout every city. Yeah, just like I thought. They don't. They're not even given the fucking. I'm looking here. Oh, here we go. Here's one of them. 35-year-old Jeremy Christian in May 2017. 35. Jeremy Christian was arrested and charged with stabbing to death two people and injuring a third as they attempted to prevent him from hurling Islamophobic insults at Muslim passengers. Okay. Who the hell was Jeremy Christian? See, he's not. I'm sorry. I just went down a rabbit hole with you guys. I started looking up all this shit. Yeah, they're not. They're not saying he's affiliated with any organization. So the first thing I looked into is some guy. Maybe he was ranting about Muslims or something, and now he's a part of this stat they used to speak against white nationalists. So just like I thought, just digging into the first one. But I'm sorry, I went down a rabbit hole with you guys. I got to stay focused on what we were talking about here. But the alt right has had a bad month in recent weeks, as Biatch described. Prominent white supremacist Richard Spencer has dropped a lawsuit against Kent State University and canceled his speaking tour after anti-fascist protesters opposed him at every stop. Antifa is winning, Spencer conceded in a video. And the fucking Antifa's not winning. They're fucking losers. They losers in life. What do you mean they're winning? It's sad. Antifa is winning. I mean, what the fuck does that even mean? I think anyone's losing when you look at Antifa as your competition. That's pathetic. No, they're, despite whatever money they get funded into their outfits. No, they're pathetic. Please, even like having Antifa on your radar and saying something like Antifa is winning. No, it's I got this massive military industrial complex being used by essentially international finance and politicians that simply don't give a shit about Americans. It's like that's who's winning. And guess what? Whether Antifa knows it or not, they're under the same repression. So it's I hate that the conversation is the alt right versus the Antifa. It's so pathetic. No, it's against the system. That's where it needs to be focused. But the alt right has had a bad month in recent weeks, as Biatch described. Prominent white supremacist Richard Spencer has dropped a lawsuit against Kent State University and canceled his speaking tour after anti-fascist protesters opposed him at every stop. Antifa is winning, Spencer conceded in a video. Days earlier, Kyle Bristow, an alt-right lawyer who has represented Spencer, announced he was quitting the movement after the Detroit Free Press wrote an article critical of him. Let's see. And Kyle Bristow left. So apparently their lawyer had left them because of he didn't think he was going to get negative press being a lawyer and being out there supporting white nationalism. So yeah, that of course that was going to happen. Heimbach was arrested days after Spencer canceled his tour. The implosion of the Traditionalist Workers' Party is not exactly as though that was planned in some way, but it is a spectacular implosion of a key player in this universe, Biatch said of the alt-right's terrible 2 weeks. Was he a key player? I'd see him pop up on stuff, and there'd even people say, "Hey, what do you think about these guys?" And I'd kind of look into them, but I never saw him as a key player in anything. He was kind of they were like on the fringe of the fringe, I thought. So yeah, but you know how the SPLC is, right? They got to keep them shekels coming, guys. Okay, even with the TWP diehards, says its prospects are bleak. There's no way for us to continue on with the TWP branding after what happened, Tony Hoverter, the TWP leader, wrote on Gab, a social media. Really? I mean, like your leader was fucking his mother-in-law from his comrade whose friend who gave his stepdaughter to, and they lived in trailers and they had a cuck box that broke and like Matt Parrott and his daughter were watching Heimbach cuck, essentially both of them. Come on. Yeah, you think it's falling apart? You think you can't carry on the name? Oh my God. Who needs Jews when you got people like this? Really? Come on. Who needs an enemy? Look at what we got amongst ourselves. Now he's on Gab discussing his plans to start a new organization after Heimbach's arrest, because that's what's going to do it, guys. Which was, without a doubt, shameful incident, he wrote. Okay. Parrott goes on and says, I have no comment. Parrott, the former TWP spokesperson whose wife allegedly slept with Heimbach, told the Daily Beast on Wednesday, I am no longer involved in the movement, and I have no stake in all this stupid shit going on in it. He is not the only one that's headed to the exits over the infighting. You know, it's like that scene in American History X. Derek, right? Was that his name? He goes to prison, and he's all uber skinhead, and he's all about his politics, and then he gets fucked over by these white trash Nazi motherfuckers, and they literally fuck him right in the shower, if you remember. So he then breaks away from all of his beliefs. But it was never like, you know, it wasn't like, because, you know, they had the scene where it's him and the black guy folding the laundry, and haha, he makes him laugh, and because he would never even talk to a black person, you know, this weird little stereotype thing they have. And it's like, oh my God, this black guy is a nice guy. I guess I've been wrong. It's like there was no unthinking or no information put forth to him that outside of him being fucked over by white trash Nazis that fucked him in the ass, that everything he had believed in, his concerns of immigration, his concerns of where his race was going, his concerns with degeneracy and culture, that all of this was suddenly gone because he got fucked over. And this is kind of the same mentality here I'm seeing with this Parrott character. It's like he had a bad fucking bad break. Your son-in-law is fucking your wife. I mean, I get it. It's a pretty bad break. But like, I'm no longer involved with the movement and all this. Well, then, for what? Because you hung around pieces of shit? And you know, I guess, like I always kind of say, you can only play ignorance for so long. Like, if you're hanging around those kind of people, then you're probably one of those kind of people. And when I go on talking about the theme of white nationalism has always attracted low quality people generally, and then I get backlash from that, and they talk about, oh, it's not low quality. No matter what I say to them, already in my head, I'm like, you're one of those low quality people, obviously, and you're just unaware of it, because you can't deny that fact. And it's been the plague with the fucking white nationalist method since Rockwell, and it's over and over again. So whenever I get backlash for saying that, because it's an accurate criticism as far as I'm concerned, and that's where it's coming from. It's an accurate fucking constructive criticism, but no, I get called all kinds of shit. I'm like, yeah, dude, you're one of those people I'm talking about. You're just not aware of that yet. Earlier in March, after Bristow quit the movement, but before Spencer canceled his college tour, Heimbach and the TWP acted as a security force for Spencer outside a speech to a handful of people at Michigan State University. They scrapped with counter-protesters, resulting in at least a dozen arrests. Most of them were Antifa, including that of Greg Conte, director of operations for an alt-right group, HuffPost reported. The physical brawl turned into a Twitter feud between Spencer and Patrick Casey, the executive director of the white supremacist group Identity Europa. Identity Europa participated in violent clashes at Charlottesville. But after the deadly rally, the two leadership changes, leader Nathan Domingo quit after Charlottesville, and his successor Eli Mosley quit to join a Spencer-affiliated group before it was revealed Mosley lied about serving in the Iraq War. Identity Europa promoted Casey to its head and attempted to rebrand itself as Clean Cut. Yeah, so they had the Eli Mosley thing was another falling flat on your face moment when you don't have people of character. And you would even listen Like when I watched that thing, even before they reached the crux of him lying about how he served, listening to how callous he was talking about like killing Arabs, and it is not being callous and killing, but like this childish joy. I got to kill these, and whatever terms he was using, laughing. And then when he was like, he used to work HR and he used to laugh at the non-whites he would fire, and they couldn't feed their kids, and he's laughing. It's like, this dude's a piece of shit and a liar, because no one who was killing people, you could talk callously about it for sure, but no one's taking this childish joy unless they're a fucking freak, unless they're sick, right? This is typically it. So you knew this dude was either a piece of shit from day one. To even think that was like funny and he'd be accepted for speaking like that, it's like, to me, those are huge red flags. As soon as I meet someone like that, like, ew, fuck you, dude. Because you think, oh, he's just has that towards non-whites and he turns it off. He's two different people, that sick character, and then that it wouldn't transfer over to anything else in his life, if it's even real, which is not even that. So, like, if it was real, his claims were real, it's bad, because, like, you're just showing you're a sick individual who gets, like, a childish joy out of harming people, or taking food out of their mouths because they're not your same race, or killing people because they're not your same race. So you're playing this role of being this character, and I guess even worse than that, you're fucking lying about that. You're not even that. You're even worse than that, because you're not even that, which was obvious, I thought, when you talk about, when I heard how but even before they came to the point where they talked about he was lying about his military service. When he's talking about, they played a clip of him on his podcast, or some podcasts, talking shit about how he was killing Arabs. And right away I was like, oh, this dude wasn't killing shit. Just how he was talking. He wasn't meeting death. He wasn't getting fucking face to face with shit like that. Talking the way he was talking. No one I know and I know people that callously talk about the people they've killed in war, and say, yeah, fuck them, and have that opinion of fuck them. But there's never this like childish joy of, I get to do this. There was never that, or at least speaking about that. So you can, as the saying goes, people that talk the most, or try to pump themselves up the most, they're usually hiding something. So that came out with him. So that was another epic fall of one of their figureheads. Okay. Where do we go? Okay, Spencer interpreted the tweet as an attack. In his tweet on his own, Spencer said he was baffled and shocked by the behavior of Casey, and accused him of expelling Identity Europa members who had supported Spencer during the brawl outside of Michigan State University. The spat was the latest over alt-right optics, a decisive subject amongst the movement. Like, they're having the same fucking argument that's been going on forever. God damn these people. God damn. Pick up fucking books. Instead of talking shit about, oh, they're so 1.0. And maybe you need to know your past, man. Maybe you need to know it. They're arguing over optics still. The Unite the Right was so toxic for the alt-right's image that some members started arguing that in-person protesters were bad publicity for the cause. And, I got this. I don't know, it was about like a month now ago. I've had the opportunity to speak with, in person, a lot of alt-righters and Identity Europa members. And a general theme, and we got into everything. I brought up my Mike Enoch shit and Cantwell, all that shit, the same old sort of talk about. And we had good talks on it. But one thing that I was kind of surprised about, but it was a large group of people kind of had the same thought, that Spencer, like, his ego had just blown. Like, people had known him and like seen a change from him 2 years ago to now. They were just like, yeah, it's pretty bad. And the consensus was like Mike Enoch was the better, as far as optics go, was more favored as one of the forefront speakers for the alt-right, I guess, way. So I was surprised by that, because I always thought, despite what anyone wants to say about Spencer, he presents himself well, he speaks well, he's intelligent, he has the politician look, he has a politician dialectic, really good. Like, he doesn't try to insult his own base. I remember he was, I forget, it was some podcast I seen him on, and they're talking about like just people trolling and all this, and like he was pretty much saying, oh, is this he took like this from a Heidegger dialectic approach of speaking about it was their Dionysus side that they trolled, and I'm over here telling you, no, you're fucking pussies. You're not saying what you'd say to someone's face, and you're hiding behind cartoon figures, and it builds bad character because you have two faces, and we should only have one face, right? So I'll always like give my opinion, and fucking, and it'll come across as maybe an insult or being mean or trying to put myself on a pedestal, which is not. It's always constructive criticism is where I'm coming from. It's tough love is my thought process on it, but I get it. We're soft ass people. We can't take that kind of criticism, so it turns into personal attacks. But I just love like how he fucking tiptoed over that and built them up to be like, it was this great character of revolting against this esoteric feeling bubbling from the surface and comes top. This is their expression. When they say ovens now, they're really expressing this. And it's like, no, there's some fucking 14-year-old trolling someone on Twitter. So he's good. He's good at fucking his politics, man. So it's unfortunate that maybe he's needs control his ego somehow. Control his ego. Get involved with martial arts, Richard. Do something like that. Get punched around a little bit. Get humbled a little bit. Like get in context with where you're at. Do something like that, because if you're gonna let your ego ruin your future as the David Duke of the millennials and Generation Z, well, that would be unfortunate. Yeah, I don't think he catches a lot of shit, but I definitely, when it comes to advocates for people's race in this fracturized society, I don't think he's a bad one for white people. I mean, is he the best one? I definitely wouldn't think so. But when I look at the competition of like the heads of La Raza, the heads of Black Lives Matter, like I've said before, he's head and shoulders above that. So it's disheartening to see that, and I see where this identity Europa thing comes. Maybe that's been boiling over for a while now. But this is, once again, one of the critiques I've gone on and on about. And about white nationalism, it splits up, it splinters up. If you have 20,000 card-carrying white nationalists in America, they will find a way to make themselves dwindle down to 1,000 here, 500 here, and it just stays separated. And they'll argue over what is white, what kind of politics, what kind of religion, like everything they can find to divide on outside of being white. Which, once again, is why I say you can't have this. There's too many holes in the logic of white nationalism to keep going down the same road. You have to add more to it. And even when people do, you have like white nationalist forums. I think the Dharma Initiative, and this goes mostly unheard of because he had tried to tie ancient Indian or ancient Aryan, quote unquote, a Hinduism essentially to white nationalism, and it's like, it's good stuff when you read the book and the beliefs and all that, and I believe with a lot of the spiritual places they're coming from. But once again, no one gives a fuck about that. It's Daily Stormer is what gets all the hits and follows, right? Not someone talking about, getting in touch with your spiritual side and getting in touch with the cycles of the earth and etc. and building yourself up and having morality and drawing hard lines, not simply just saying white is right and going down this, road, but it's saying no, you have to be A, B, C, and D of quality to have acceptance or be a part. And so, but messages like that, they, like I said, hardly anyone knows of the Dharma Initiative, and they know all about Daily Stormer, right? So let's go on. Speaking about the Daily Stormer, currently the biggest divide is between people who believe in online activism versus real-world activism, Biatch said. After Charlottesville, the Daily Stormer founder, Andrew Anglin, for example, posted things criticizing in real-life protests. When PayPal and Facebook started banning accounts, he was pointing out that these things aren't good for us. Taking it to the streets isn't necessarily positive. The optics were bad. I love that Anglin is like a brain piece for white nationalists. I really do. Fuck you guys. Fuck you guys. Don't you ever come to me and lecture me about anything. I love that he's one of your... Oh my God. I love that. That's so funny. That's so funny. Anglin is currently on the run and claims to be in Cambodia while he attempts to avoid a lawsuit by a Jewish woman whose address and phone number he posted online after she argued with Spencer's mother. Anglin encouraged readers of his neo-Nazi website, The Daily Stormer, to call the woman and to visit her home, unleashing a campaign of harassment against her. An opposing alt-right movement accuses people of Anglin of optics cucking, a reference to a porn genre in which a man watches another man have sex with his wife. The term was in vogue with the alt-right long before parents stood on the box outside of a trailer to watch Heimbach have sex with parents' wife, according to police reports of the incidents. Yeah, guys, you got it all figured out. You got it all figured out. The anti-optics crowd accuses pro-optics faction of trying to splinter the movement. Among the optics skeptical is Chris Cantwell, because he's all about optics, isn't he? The white supremacist who featured prominently in the Vice documentary on the Unite the Right rally and who later became a meme when he cried on camera. He did become a meme, didn't he? Ah. Since Charlottesville, Cantwell has produced a podcast which ran on the Daily Stormer until Anglin apparently removed it without telling Cantwell earlier this month. Okay, so apparently I had known he was on house arrest, and I knew he was podcasting, but I didn't know it was coming through Daily Stormer. As far as I can tell, that's what's going on, and they are throwing barbs back and forth over it, Biatch said. I think there's also a lot, maybe professional is the wrong word, but professional jealousies here. Cantwell's blog or podcast gets more popular. That pisses off other members of the alt-right who want center stage. You know, typically you would just say, hey, look, she's just psychoanalyzing something she has no idea about. She's applying this. But I do think there's an element of truth there. And once again, one of my criticism was a lot of these people are concerned, and I'd always get it too. How dare you criticize this person? You don't get the hits they do. You're not red pilling what they do. These people are so invested in their hits, their following, how much they can build Twitter followers, YouTube subscribers, etc. That, and being that a lot of these people have already showed themselves not to be of quality, that probably there's probably truth. There's probably actually truth to that. There probably is. Sadly enough, there might be truth to that. There might be jealousy amongst, oh my God, he gets more. How can I get more than him? This is bullshit. I'm smarter than him. I know more than him. And so that might be a reality, actually. I could see that too. From the character many of these people explained, they're very shallow people that I do think that probably is a reality. Okay. Okay, on Gab, Cantwell alleged a conspiracy, of course, right? I found out new content was not being syndicated to the Daily Stormer when somebody asked about it in my Gab mentions. So I can't say with any certainty what the motivation was, Cantwell wrote last week. He suggested the removal of his show and the flood of negative news about the TWP in which he is not involved was a part of an effort to discredit the alt-right. I smell subversion, he wrote. Hoviter, the remaining TWP leader who called Heimbach's arrest shameful, shared the post. Cantwell's attack on the Daily Stormer soon landed him in trouble with other members of the alt-right. Oh, shots fired. Here they go. They're going to start fighting with each other. When the blog's contributors revealed Cantwell was an FBI informant. Andrew Allenheimer, a Daily Stormer contributor and hacker best known by the screen name Weave, posted screenshots in a conversation with Cantwell in which Cantwell admitted to reporting members of Philadelphia ARA, anti-racist action groups, to authorities. I talked to cops too. Gonna talk to the feds soon, most likely, Cantwell told Weave in an undated conversation which references Cantwell's pending felony case for an alleged illegal use of tear gas at the Charlottesville rally. I'm going after Philly ARA, not throwing our people under the bus. We weren't the bad guys last August, and Charlottesville is ignoring the fact the feds want to bust Antifa, and I'm keen to help them. We've replied that if you hadn't talked to cops and media in the first place and If you hadn't talked to the cops and media in the first place and had gotten scarce, you wouldn't be facing 40 years in prison. Scared? Okay, you forgot the D. Is that what that is? I think so. It had gotten scarce. I don't know. Doesn't make sense to me. If you hadn't talked to the cops and the media in the first place and hadn't gotten scared, you wouldn't be facing 40 years in prison. He's not getting 40 years in prison, guys. That they always put the charge sheet at the highest amount of time they can give so they can scare you into taking a deal. So stop trying to build these fucking people up. Like, bro, you're not facing. Let's see how that plays out. After Weave posted the screenshots, Cantwell confirmed their authenticity in a blog on his own post entitled I Am a Federal Informant, in which he attacked Weave as a Jew in a foreign country in reference to the rumors that the neo-Nazi blog. See, this is what I hate. This is what I fucking hate. Because, yeah, we've heard that about, whatever. I got my own opinions that I thought were obvious from for a second. But like, now you're going to call this dude Jewish when you were working under him, when you're working for a site, but now that they kicked you off, now all of a sudden he's Jewish. These people don't fucking have ethics. Especially a piece of shit like that. Especially a piece of shit like that. He's shown it over and over again. He was a piece of shit starter before he got into the alt-right. He's a piece of shit starter now that he is in the alt-right. And people don't see that? If you don't see that, man, that's your own shortcoming, I have to tell you. But now all of a sudden he's willing to jump on the Weaves a Jew bandwagon now because everything turned, because they turned against him. It's like, well, if you're so quick to believe that, why didn't you say something about that before? Why didn't you speak up about that before if you thought that was a reality? It shows character, guys. It shows character, for sure. Cantwell also confirmed that his attorney had spoken with the FBI and the mission of set off the fresh volley of criticism alt-righters who oppose communicating with law enforcement. Yeah, I agree with that. That's, once again, he could say, like, oh, I'm just telling on Antifa, but you're telling. You're showing the tendency to tell, and guess what? You'll do it again if you're put up in a corner, okay? And it doesn't matter who it is. Then I'd even seen some Twitter conversation where apparently some drug charges of years before, and he kind of pulled some shaky shit, which I don't know if there's any reality to that at all, but if the shoe fits, right? Cantwell has good reason to try to deflect blame onto anti-fascist protesters. In addition to his pending criminal charges, he is named in 2 civil lawsuits against Unite the Right rioters. Oh, that's hilarious. They're even doing lawsuits? I mean, what the fuck is that? Like, they were the aggressors, so yeah, you would hope that would be easily shown against. There's so much video footage, so. He's only a defendant in one of the cases. Between them, the lawsuits also name Spencer, the TWP, Identity Europa, and the League of the South. The latter of which signed an agreement Monday not to host any future armed protests in Charlottesville. Biatch said the 2 lawsuits will probably drive some other people to abandon the movement. They just don't want to get caught up in legal fees. Yeah, so that's how they took down the Aryan Nations. It was over a lawsuit. They used to have land, and they weren't shit, but they had an impressive amount of land and some buildings built, and they had uniforms. As far as LARPing goes, they were doing pretty damn good. But that's how they got taken down, lawsuits. So it's the same old thing, right? They try to attack the people and attack the organizations they're part of. They did this with Pierce as well. Anytime someone would try to do anything, it was the same with Matt Hill. Anytime someone who was a part of any kind of group tried to do anything or did anything violent or did anything stupid, they would always, it was kind of like the RICO Act. They'd always try to put it onto the organization. In her extensive time tracking the far right, Biatch has seen other similar movements grow and implode. She drew a parallel between the alt-right and the National Alliance, a neo-Nazi group until the early 2000s was the biggest neo-Nazi group in America. It was the main player. But when the National Alliance leader, Dr. William Pierce, where's this doctor at, motherfucker, huh? This hating ass bitch. Dr. William Pierce died in 2002, the group turned on itself. That is true. Within a very short period of time, the whole group was essentially decimated. Yeah, that is true. 1 year after Pierce was dead, the group was done and had splintered into a bunch of factions. That is true. Biatch said, that was the case where the leader died. I imagine Heimbach's downfall is almost a death to the Traditionalist Workers' Party. Yeah, but it's 2 completely different worlds. They are nothing near what the National Alliance was. Under the pressure of lawsuits, jail time, scandal, and shame, she imagines some current alt-righters will simply sink away, and if they haven't already. I'm sure we're going to lose some people, and we're going to have some people fighting over the crumbs that are left. So, yeah, I think, yeah, the alt-right, they had their heyday, and I think the serious people are going to come out of the alt-right and continue on in politics and revolutionary politics, and they're going to go different ways. Some of them are going to go more nationalistic, fascistic, and some of them are going to stay down the white nationalist road. But whatever roads they go down, they'll be the fat will be cut. Right, a lot of the people that are part of the alt-right, because you have the ebbs and flows and resistance movements all the time. And matter of fact, that was when we were on the Brexit Party chat. That's something Mark Collette had spoken about, how since his time in the BNP from the early 2000s to today, he was like, you always see this, and I see the same thing too. Anyone who's paid attention to any kind of resistance movements, resistance political ideologies for a decent amount of time, you'll see there's always what they call resistance burnout. Is you just, because you essentially have the world on your shoulders. Essentially, you see all this wrong and bad, and it's so negative. It weighs down on you, pushes people away. Then you don't want to deal with the bullshit, and you got families, and you want to, et cetera, et cetera. Simply live and just want a better society, and you get persecuted, or you can't get a job now, et cetera, et cetera. So people go away from it, and they go into their own lives, they go back to their own little shell. So it's you see that all the time, and you're going to see that with the alt-right. But I do believe it is a new generation of people involved in the alt-right. I do believe there's a lot of intelligence in the alt-right, and I do believe the quality people are going to come out of the alt-right into something more prominent. So I don't think, I do say good riddance to it, a good riddance to the trolling and the Pepe memes and all this shit. But I look forward to the cultured thugs that come out of that scene, right? I look forward to that. I do think that's going to happen. And I do think there's enough serious people that actually give a damn about the future of the country and have enough invested in it, whether they have families or whether they see a future in this country, that they're going to be more serious about it. So I do think that'll come out of it. I think this is the same old shit I've been for years now. Whenever I criticize one of these figureheads, and it's never like a personal attack, even though it is kind of a personal attack, but it's more of an attack on the mentality. It's more attack on the people that accept the mentality and turn the other cheek to it. It's more so when I make these videos criticizing people, I'm usually the heat and the anger comes from people supporting these people, at least for me, because it's like, if you don't see these signs, if you accept these things, then you're telling me you're no better than these people, and that's a fucking depressing thought. So that's where that comes from. But yeah, good riddance to the trash, man. They'll let themselves be known. They'll take themselves out of the picture. And the people that are serious, don't be disheartened. Don't be disheartened, man. This is just the growth of a resistance scene right now. It's in its infancy. The alt-right is. You're gonna grow up. You're gonna be a teenager soon, and then soon enough, a full fucking serious adult. Soon enough. So I think good's coming out from it. I've bet enough intelligent, concerned young people, a part of the alt-right, that I know they'll be around long enough to be serious about it. So yeah, state of the alt-right is what it is. Like I said, I thought it reached its peak in the Trump campaign. I thought they had a huge, I guess, political agenda, I guess political theory gap when they went full out white nationalist instead of implicitly white, and keeping it to standards and ethics that are innately European and at the founding of this country. That when they went outside of that and started LARPing for the renegade white nationalist outlets and the Daily Stormer white nationalist outlets, that like they kind of shot themselves in the foot, and they were going to go through all these same old things, this repetitive cycle of what white nationalism in America has done over and over to a fucking T, over and over again. It's funny. The Reed Siege people should probably read Siege themselves, because the same old shit, that goes on today is the same old shit Mason complained about. Then they should probably read Rockwell, because the same old shit that went on today and the same old shit that went on in Mason's time is the same old shit that went on in Rockwell's time. So it's kind of been the same fucking mistakes and holes in logic over and over again, and no one's willing to fill those holes for some reason. I don't know. They just keep wanting to do it the same old way over and over again, and you're apparently a cuck if you don't want to fucking go fall into the same pit traps over and over again that people keep doing. Yeah. So, anyways, thanks for sending the articles. People send me the articles. It was kind of humorous to see. A lot of these people live up to who they are. Until next time, guys. Cheers.